It was like Ivy walked into an explosion, boom, everything blurred, her ribs screaming as she hit the floor, and when she forced her eyes open, there he was, her abusive ex, Femi, wearing that same cruel smile, standing over her like she was still his personal punching bag. But what Femi doesn't know is that the woman he just touched is now a billionaire's wife, and the moment Lagos finds out who she belongs to, this small drama will turn into something that can destroy lives. So stay with me, because what happens next will shock you. Welcome to Bestie Folktale. If you enjoy heated drama, romance, comedy, and revenge, then you're in the right place. Please subscribe to help us grow. Your support means a lot to us. And tell us in the comments which country you're watching from. We truly love to know where you're tuning in from. Don't forget to like and share with your friends. The Palms Mall in Lekki was dressed like Lagos was trying to outdo itself for Christmas. Gold ribbons wrapped the railings. Fake snow sat on plastic pine trees. A giant tree stood near the center with shiny ornaments and soft music playing from hidden speakers. People moved in slow luxury, taking pictures, carrying shopping bags, smelling like perfume and money. Ivy walked through it quietly, holding 2 bags in her hands. One from a designer store, one from a small boutique. She had a simple black dress on, clean and fitted, and gloves that covered her hands like she didn't want attention. Her face was calm, but her eyes stayed alert the way they always did now. Even when she tried to relax, her body still remembered fear. She had just stepped away from a store entrance when it happened. She didn't even see it coming. A sharp, hard, like someone hit her with a rock, landed on her ribs. Not a fist. A heel. A designer heel. Pain exploded through her sides so fast her breath left her body. Her shopping bags flew out of her hands. Her shoulders hit something solid as she stumbled backward. She crashed straight into a display stand. The metal edge dug into her elbow. Her dress snagged and tore at the shoulder. A rack of Christmas ornaments tumbled and shattered as she went down. Glass broke on marble. A few people screamed. A child started crying. Then silence. The kind of silence that comes when everyone sees drama and doesn't know whether to run or watch. Ivy lay on the floor for a second, blinking like her brain was trying to understand what her body had already accepted. Her ribs burned. Her elbow throbbed. Warm blood slid down her forearm and dripped on the white floor like paint. Her chest rose once, twice, tight breaths. She pushed herself up slightly and looked up. And the world shifted. Because standing above her, with the same familiar arrogance, was Femi. Femi Adeyemi, her ex-fiancé. The man who had once held her face and promised her forever. Then stole everything and left her to suffer like she was nothing. He looked expensive. Like life had been good to him. Like he had never paid for anything he did. And the look on his face? Contempt. Pure contempt. His lips curled like she was dirt that had stained his shoe. "Stay down," he said coldly, loud enough for people nearby to hear. "Stay down where you belong." Ivy's ears rang. Not from the fall. From the words. Because it wasn't just what he said. It was how easily he said it. Like he had been waiting for this moment. She stared at him, and for a second, she wasn't in the Palms Mall anymore. She was back in another life. Back in a small room with unpaid rent. Back in hunger. Back in tears. Back in begging him not to leave. Back in that day she had nothing but 17 naira and a shaking hand on her belly. Her throat tightened. She swallowed. Femi leaned closer, his expensive shoe right beside her broken ornaments, like he owned the whole space. "Look at you," he continued, eyes dragging over her torn dress and the blood on her arm. "You finally found your way into a place like this? Don't worry, you'll be chased out soon. This kind of life is not for you." People were watching. Phones were already coming out. Ivy's fingers trembled as she tried to sit up properly. Her elbow screamed with pain. She gripped the edge of the display stand to steady herself. Femi laughed once, short and bitter. "You're still doing that sad face," he said. "As if the world owes you sympathy." Ivy's lips parted, but no sound came out. Not because she didn't have words. Because she had too many. And if she opened her mouth fully, the whole story would pour out on this marble floor. The baby. The hunger. The nights in her car. The blood. The loneliness. The fact that she rebuilt herself from ash. The fact that she was not that girl anymore. But Femi didn't know. He couldn't see it. He still thought the woman in front of him was the same abandoned, broke Ivy he left behind. He didn't know about the ring. Under her glove, on her left hand, a diamond sat quietly, hidden from strangers, because Kola preferred her safe, not noticed. Femi didn't know she woke up that morning in a Lekki penthouse with ocean air and expensive silence. He didn't know she had a black card in her purse that had no spending limit. He didn't know that the quiet guards who usually walked behind her weren't close right now only because she had insisted she wanted a normal shopping day. And he definitely didn't know the phone vibrating in her bag was not just a call. It was a warning. Her bag buzzed again. Ivy's heart jumped like it recognized the rhythm before her mind did. She reached into the bag with shaking fingers and pulled out her phone. The screen lit up. Cola. For 1 second, Ivy just stared at the name. Then she answered. Hello, she whispered. The voice that came through was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that was dangerous. Ivy, Cola Balogun said, low and steady. Are you hurt? Ivy's eyes lifted slowly to Femi's face. And she watched it happen. The tiny change. The slight pause. Femi's brows pulled together like he was trying to understand what he was hearing without actually hearing it. Because he didn't know that name. Not yet. But something about Ivy's expression changed. Not fear. Not begging. Something colder. Something settled. Something protected. Her elbow still bled. Her ribs still screamed. But as Cola repeated, even more deadly this time, Are you hurt? Ivy realized something with a strange, heavy clarity. Femi had kicked her in public thinking she was still powerless. And now, without understanding why, he was about to learn that Lagos had 2 Ivis. The one he destroyed. And the one who belonged to Cola Balogun. And Cola Balogun didn't forgive men like him. Ivy, Cola repeated on the phone, voice low and steady. Are you hurt? She stared up at Femi, still standing over her like a king over a beggar. Her elbow was bleeding. Her ribs felt like fire. But what shook her most wasn't the pain. It was the memory. The way one man could pull the past back like it happened yesterday. Ivy swallowed hard. I'm okay, she lied softly, because the crowd was watching and she didn't want Cola to hear voices in the background and come like thunder. There was a pause on the line. Cola's voice dropped colder. Ivy, don't lie to me. She closed her eyes. The smell of perfume and shattered glass filled her nose. My elbow is bleeding, she admitted in a whisper. I fell. Another pause. The kind that meant Cola was switching from husband to something darker. Who touched you? He asked. Ivy's eyes opened. Femi's face tightened again, like he was trying to read her life from her expression. Like he was trying to figure out why she wasn't begging. Ivy held her breath and answered, quiet but clear. Femi. The name left her lips like a stone. Cola didn't say anything for 1 second. Then his voice returned, calm in a way that felt like danger. Put Say on the phone. Ivy's fingers shook harder. She didn't even argue. She just turned her head slightly, searching. And as her eyes moved, the story pulled itself backward. Back to the beginning of that morning, before the blood, before the mall, before Femi's shadow walked into her life again. Before we dive into today's dramatic Lagos story of love, pain, revenge, and second chances, I want to wish you a blessed and beautiful Christmas season. May your home be filled with peace, your heart be filled with joy, and may you meet people who love you the right way. And please, help us grow by subscribing now, turn on your notifications, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Let's get into it. That same morning, Ivy stood in her walk-in closet in Lekki, surrounded by luxury that still didn't feel fully real sometimes. Designer dresses hung like a rainbow, silk, satin, lace, pieces that looked like they belonged on red carpets and billionaire wives. Shoes lined up neatly. Bags arranged like trophies. Perfume bottles glittered on a mirrored tray. But Ivy's fingers moved past all of it. She reached for the simplest thing. A plain black dress. No loud logo. No shining stones. Just clean and quiet. Old habits. Habits from days when she counted coins before buying bread. When she learned to survive by choosing what would not draw attention. When she learned that looking expensive could invite trouble. She held the dress up against her body and stared at herself in the mirror. Her face was calm, but her eyes had that look of someone who had climbed out of fire and refused to go back in. Behind her, the doorframe creaked softly. A male voice said, amused. You're doing it again. Ivy didn't jump. She smiled faintly instead. Doing what? Cola Balogun stepped into the room like he owned the air. He was already dressed, expensive suit, wristwatch shining, cologne that sat on the skin like quiet power. His hair was neat, his jaw clean, his eyes sharp. Not the kind of handsome that begged for attention. The kind that commanded it. He walked closer, looking at the dress in her hand. Choosing the cheapest thing in a closet that can buy half of Lekki, he said. Ivy rolled her eyes. It's not cheap. It's simple. Cola came behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. His voice softened slightly, but his control never left it. You're my wife, he murmured near her ear. Stop dressing like you're still trying to disappear. Ivy's lips parted in a small laugh. I like disappearing sometimes. I don't, he said. He lowered his face and kissed the side of her neck, slow and deliberate, the kind of kiss that made her forget her own name for half a second. She exhaled. Cola, I like spoiling you, he said, lips brushing her skin again. Humor me. Ivy turned in his arms to face him. You humor me by loving me exactly the way I am. For a moment, the hardness in Cola's face eased. The only time Lagos ever saw him gentle was when he was with her. He studied her like he was memorizing her again. Then his eyes flickered, small, quick, toward the window, toward the world outside their walls. You're going shopping today? He asked. Yes, Ivy said. Just small Christmas shopping. I won't be long. Cola's jaw tightened immediately. Take Sei and Keen with you. Ivy sighed. Cola, I'm going to a mall. Not a battlefield. His eyes narrowed. His voice changed. Not loud, not dramatic, just firm enough to end conversation. Ivy, you know what I do. She didn't reply. You know the enemies that comes with it, he continued. You don't leave this house without security. Non-negotiable. There it was. Not the husband now. The man Lagos whispered about. Ivy lifted her hands and cupped his face, forcing him to look only at her. Okay, she said softly. I'll take them. The tension in his shoulders dropped like someone released a tight rope. Thank you, he said. Cola checked his watch. I have a meeting. I'll be back by 7. Ivy raised an eyebrow. And then, we have dinner by 8, he said, that dangerous smile touching his mouth. Reservation. Where? It's a surprise. He leaned closer, voice lowering. Wear the red dress. Ivy laughed. Which red dress? The one I can't stop thinking about removing, he said without blinking. Heat rushed to her cheeks. You're shameless. Cola's hand slid to her waist again, pulling her in. Only for you, he whispered. And as he kissed her, deep, thorough, the kind that made the whole world disappear. Ivy had no idea that just 2 hours later, in the same Lagos, in the same city that never forgets, her past would find her on marble floors. And the man who promised non-negotiable was about to prove it. Cola left her breathless in the doorway of that closet. He kissed her like he was sealing a promise, then stepped back, adjusting his cufflinks with that calm, controlled precision that always reminded her. This man didn't just walk through Lagos. Lagos moved around him. I'll be back by 7, he said again, softer now. I know, Ivy replied, smoothing her dress and pretending her heart wasn't still racing. He gave her one last look, half warning, half devotion, then walked out. The door closed, and the house went quiet. Ivy stood there for a second, staring at her reflection. Simple black dress, pearl earrings, gloved hands. A woman wrapped in luxury, still dressing like she might need to run at any time. She breathed in slowly. Then she picked up her small purse, black, structured, innocent-looking, the kind of bag that hid secrets well. Inside it, her phone rested. Under that, her black card. Under that, things she never wanted to need again. She glanced at her left hand. The ring was there. Not loud, not flashy, but heavy. The kind of weight that reminded you are not alone anymore. A few minutes later, the elevator in the Lekki penthouse slid open, and she stepped out into the day. Sei and Keen were already waiting downstairs. They didn't look like bodyguards at first glance. Sei wore plain jeans and a simple polo, his face calm and unreadable. Keen had a cap pulled low, hands in his pockets, moving like someone who wasn't trying to be noticed but was ready for anything. Ivy hated how normal they could look, because she knew what they were capable of. Madam, Sei greeted respectfully. You people will not stress me today, Ivy warned with a small smile. Keen's mouth twitched. We no day stress anybody, madam. Na Lagos day stress people. She rolled her eyes and got into the car. The ride to the Palms Mall was smooth. Traffic was kinder than usual. Maybe because it was Christmas season and some people had already traveled. Christmas songs played from passing cars. Hawkers shouted by the roadside. A bus conductor yelled, Lekki, Lekki. One chance no day here, oh. Lagos was doing Lagos things. But inside Ivy, there was a fragile peace. The kind that took years to build. When they arrived at the Palms, the air conditioning hit her face like a soft slap. The mall smelled like expensive perfume and cinnamon. Decorations glittered everywhere. A big Christmas tree stood proudly in the center, surrounded by people snapping pictures like it was a celebrity. Ivy walked in quietly, her steps controlled. She didn't rush. She didn't overthink. She told herself, "You're just shopping. You're safe. You're fine." Sei and Keen followed at a discreet distance, not too close to embarrass her, not too far to lose her. They moved like shadows, always present, never loud. Ivy entered a boutique and bought 2 small things she didn't even need. She left another store with a gift box. She passed a jewelry stand, touched a bracelet, then changed her mind. Cola's voice from earlier echoed in her head. "Stop dressing like you're still trying to disappear." She smiled to herself, remembering how shameless he had been about the red dress. She was still smiling when life decided to remind her that peace in Lagos can be interrupted any time. Ivy turned a corner near one of the luxury stores. And she saw him. At first, her brain refused to accept it, because the face was too familiar, too unwanted, too buried. But there he was, leaning casually beside a designer display, laughing like he owned them all. Femi, her ex-fiancé. The same cocky smile sat on his face like it had never left. The same confidence that wasn't real. The same swagger that was always funded by somebody else's sacrifice. He was with a woman who looked like she had swallowed Instagram. Long nails, big wig, big lashes, loud perfume, designer bag hanging on her arm like a trophy. Everything about her screamed soft life, and she wore it proudly, throwing her head back as she laughed at something Femi said. Ivy's fingers tightened around the shopping bags in her hands. Her grip became too hard. The paper handles started to dig into her skin. Her mouth went dry instantly. 3 years. She had told herself she was healed. She had told herself the past was a closed chapter. She had told herself Femi was a ghost, and ghosts only live where you allow them. But seeing him, just like this, brought the memories back like they were waiting behind the wall. The nights she cried in silence so nobody would hear. The days she drank water to trick her stomach. The shame of checking her account and seeing nothing. The humiliation of begging. The way her body weakened from stress. The morning she woke up and saw blood. The way her whole world ended quietly, while the city continued to breathe like nothing happened. Ivy swallowed hard. Her eyes burned. Not tears. Anger. Pain. Everything mixed together. She should turn. Walk away. Enter another store. Pretend she didn't see him. But her legs refused to move. It was like the marble floor held her in place. Her chest rose and fell faster. Somewhere behind her, Sei's posture changed. Keen stopped walking. They felt it before she even spoke. Trouble. Ivy didn't look back at them. She didn't want anyone to see how the sight of one man could make her feel small again for a second. She lifted her chin slightly, forcing her breathing to slow. Then Femi looked up. Their eyes met. For one heartbeat, his expression was blank. Like he didn't recognize her. Then something flashed across his face. Recognition. Shock. And then, almost immediately, contempt. His lips curled like her existence offended him. He leaned close to the flashy woman and whispered something into her ear. The woman's eyes scanned Ivy quickly, then rolled. Femi pushed himself off the display stand and started walking toward her. Slow. Confident. As if the mall was his stage. Ivy's body went cold. Not because she was afraid of him, but because she understood something. This day was not going to remain calm. Lagos had just dragged her passed out into the open. And Femi was walking toward her like he still had power. Like he still owned the ending. But Ivy wasn't that girl anymore. Even if her shaking hands tried to forget it. Femi kept walking toward her like he was coming to collect a debt. Slow steps. Head high. That same careless confidence that used to make people believe him. He had his hands in his pockets, shoulders loose, acting like the whole mall was his living room. Ivy stood still. Not because she couldn't move again, but because she refused to run. Her heart was beating too fast, yes. Her palms were damp inside her gloves. But she lifted her chin and held her ground, even as the old memories tried to pull her backwards. She told herself one thing over and over. You are not that girl anymore. Behind her, Sei and Keen had shifted closer, still pretending to be casual. Not touching her, not hovering, but close enough. Ready. Femi stopped in front of her like he had been waiting 3 years for this moment. His eyes moved over her black dress, her hair, the way she stood. He looked like he was trying to understand what had changed, but his pride refused to admit it. Then he smirked. Huh. Ivy. His voice was loud enough to pull attention. Ivy didn't reply. Femi chuckled and spread his hands slightly like he was addressing an audience. "You don't reach here?" he said, mocking. "The Palms Mall? Lecky." He looked around dramatically, as if he needed the chandeliers and Christmas decorations to hear him too. "This place no be where you day come," he continued. "You sure you know Miss Road? Because last time I check, na those cheap market for Abusive you fit manage." A few people slowed down. Some turned their heads openly. "You know Lagos, drama is entertainment." Ivy's throat tightened. She forced her voice to come out steady. "Femi," she said calm. "I have nothing to say to you. That should have ended it." But Femi loved shame. He fed on it. He leaned closer, eyes shining with cruelty. "Nothing to say," he repeated. "After all that crying you cried that time? After you begged me like I was your god?" Ivy's stomach turned. Sei's jaw tightened. Keen's gaze went hard. But they stayed quiet because Ivy hadn't asked them to speak. Femi laughed, loud and sharp. "See as you find now," he said. "You don package. So who be the Mumu Way Day sponsor you?" Ivy didn't blink. "You're embarrassing yourself." He waved his hand like she was the one acting crazy. "No be you," he scoffed. "You don find another man to pay your bills. That's your talent now. You go just arrange sad face, play victim, and wait for some foolish man to pity you." Ivy's nails pressed into her palm through the glove. She took a slow breath. "You left me with nothing," she said quietly. "You stole from me." Femi's smile widened like she had just told a joke. "Stole," he repeated. Then he threw his head back and laughed loud enough for heads to turn from the stores nearby. "My sister, I no steal anything," he said. "I liberated myself." He leaned in slightly, eyes cold. "Leaving you was the best decision of my life." That sentence landed like a slap. Ivy's lips parted, but her voice stayed trapped in her chest. Femi kept going, enjoying the attention. "You were always like a load," he said. "Always needy. Always expecting me to carry you like baby. Ivy, you were a parasite." The word stung even though she had heard worse in her life. Parasite, like she was something that sucked life and gave nothing back. Meanwhile, she had worked herself into exhaustion for him. Paid rent. Paid bills. Carried him when he was finding himself. But Lagos doesn't care for history. Lagos watches what is happening now. And right now, the story Femi was selling was that Ivy was the problem. Ivy swallowed hard, refusing to let her eyes water. "Femi," she said again firmer. "Move. I don't want any trouble." He smiled like a man who came specifically to create trouble. Then the flashy woman beside him finally stepped forward, heels clicking on the marble. She linked her arm through Femi's possessively like she was marking territory. "Is this her?" she asked, looking Ivy up and down with disgust. "This one." Femi nodded, still smirking. "The ex I told you about," he said. "The one way no degree move on." The woman hissed lightly. "Ah! So now you." Ivy's eyes flashed. "I never stalked anybody." The woman's face twisted like she didn't believe Ivy deserved to speak. "Please," she said, rolling her eyes. "You people like embarrassment too much." Ivy felt heat rise into her chest. She opened her mouth to defend herself properly. But Femi cut her off instantly. "Ivy," he said sharply, voice suddenly warning. "No make scene." He leaned closer, eyes hard now, like he was speaking to the old Ivy he used to control. "You always like drama. You always like to perform. Don't start that nonsense here." Ivy's breath caught, because for a second, the tone took her back again, to the way he used to silence her, the way he used to turn her pain into noise, the way he used to make her look like the crazy one. Her legs stayed steady, but inside her something cracked. Not in a weak way. In a dangerous way. Femi looked at her one last time with that same contempt and started to turn away like she wasn't worth his time, like he could toss her words into the air and walk off clean. The girlfriend tossed her hair and followed him. People were still watching. Phones still lifted. And Ivy stood there in the middle of the Palms Mall with her chest tight and her hands shaking, feeling 3 years of swallowed pain boiling up under her skin. Because Femi didn't just come to insult her. He came to rewrite her story in public. And something in Ivy was starting to refuse. She didn't know it yet. But she was seconds away from saying the one thing that would change the whole day. Femi had already turned his back. He was walking away like he had won, like he had dropped shame on Ivy's head and could now stroll off with his girlfriend, laughing untouched. Ivy stood there shaking, not from fear, but from something hotter. 3 years of swallowing pain. 3 years of telling herself, let it go. 3 years of pretending it didn't matter anymore. But the way he spoke, so loud, so proud, so careless, like her suffering was small, like her tears were entertainment, like her life was nothing. Something snapped inside her. Femi. Her voice cut through the mall like a blade. He paused mid-step and looked back slowly, irritated, like she was disturbing him. Ivy took one step forward. Her eyes were bright, but not with tears. With truth. You destroyed me, she said. Femi's brows lifted. He smiled like she was about to beg again. Ivy's chest rose as she forced the words out, steady and loud enough for people close by to hear. I lost everything because of you. I suffered because of you. Femi scoffed. Ivy, I beg. Our baby died because of you. The sentence landed heavy, like something dropped from a height. For 1 second, there was silence so thick the Christmas music felt too small. Even the girlfriend's face changed, just slightly, like she didn't expect that. Femi's smile disappeared. His eyes hardened, rage rushing in fast like petrol catching fire. Baby, he snapped. Which baby? Don't start that stupid lie again. Ivy's throat tightened. She hated that her voice shook, but she refused to stop now. It's not a lie, she said. I lost that pregnancy because you left me homeless and starving. I was pregnant with your child and you. Shut up. Femi barked, stepping closer, too fast. You want to pin your bad luck on me? You think you can guilt-trip me in public? Ivy stood her ground, but her body was trembling. Not because she was weak, because she was remembering. I slept inside my car, she continued, voice breaking now. I had nothing. I was hungry. I was bleeding. I woke up one morning in blood and Femi moved again, aggressive now, hands coming up like he might grab her. That was when Sei stepped fully in front of Ivy. Just one movement. Calm. Controlled. But firm. Sir, Sei said, voice low. Step back. Femi looked Sei up and down and laughed, sharp and ugly. Who be this? He snapped. Your new boyfriend? You don't hire small muscle now. Behind them, Keen had already brought out his phone. His fingers were moving quickly. Calling Cola. Because even without Ivy saying anything, they knew. This was the kind of situation Cola had warned about. Femi pointed at Sei like he was pointing at a useless obstacle. Oga, comet for road, he said. This one no concern you. Sei didn't move. Step back, he repeated, calm as ice. Femi's girlfriend grabbed Femi's arm. Babe, leave em jor. Shut up, Femi hissed at her without even looking. Then he leaned forward, trying to see Ivy behind Sei. You think because you dress fine today you fit change the past? He said to Ivy, voice rising. You're still the same needy beggar. Ivy's eyes flashed. And you're still a thief. That was the final match. Femi lunged. Not fully at Ivy, at Sei first, trying to push him out of the way. It happened fast. Femi shoved Sei hard in the chest. Sei staggered half a step but recovered instantly. But the shove created a sudden gap. Just enough space for Femi's hand to swing past Sei and reach Ivy. Ivy didn't even know what hit her. A hard push, rough and careless, slammed into her shoulder. Her balance was already shaky. Her shopping bags fell. Her body went backward. And she crashed again, into a display stand. Metal hit her elbow. Pain shot up her arm like lightning. Her dress tore at the shoulder. Glass decorations scattered and shattered across the floor. Someone gasped loudly. The entire mall went silent again, like the air itself froze. Ivy fell to the ground with a cry she tried to swallow, but couldn't. When she looked down, blood was already running down her elbow, dripping onto the polished white floor. Her ribs screamed. Her elbow throbbed. But worse than the pain was the humiliation of being on the floor again, like the old Ivy. Femi stood over her, breathing hard, face twisted with anger. Stay down where you belong, he snarled. He didn't even finish the insult. Because Sei moved. In 2 seconds, Sei grabbed Femi, twisted his arm behind his back, and slammed him down. Femi hit the floor with a loud thud. He shouted in pain, struggling. Keen was already beside Ivy, crouching quickly, one hand hovering near her elbow, eyes scanning her face. Madam, you day okay? Keen asked, voice tense. Ivy nodded, but she wasn't okay. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. The girlfriend screamed like a siren. Leave him. Leave him. Are you mad? She shouted, drawing attention like she wanted to summon help with noise alone. More people raised phones. More people moved closer. Then mall security rushed in, 2 guards first, then more. Everybody calm down, one shouted. Femi tried to twist free. She attacked me, he yelled. This woman is crazy. The girlfriend pointed at Ivy. Yes. She was harassing him. She's obsessed. A security man turned toward the CCTV cameras mounted above. We have the footage, he said firmly. We saw everything. You assaulted her. Femi's mouth opened, ready to argue. But Keen's phone vibrated in his hand. Then Ivy's phone started ringing inside her purse. Ivy's stomach dropped before she even checked the screen. She pulled it out with trembling fingers. Cola. She answered. Hello, she whispered. Cola's voice came through calm. Too calm. Are you hurt? Ivy tried to breathe. I'm fine. Just small scratch. Don't lie, he said. The way he said it made her chest tighten. Are you hurt, Ivy? She swallowed. My elbow is bleeding. I fell. A pause. Then the same question, cold and controlled. Who touched you? Ivy lifted her eyes to where Femi was pinned on the floor under Sei's grip. Her voice came out soft. Femi. Cola didn't shout. He didn't curse. He didn't even sound angry. But the calmness in his voice was worse than shouting. I'm coming, he said. Then, like a command that could shake Lagos itself, he added. Don't let him leave that mall. Don't let him leave that mall. The line went dead. Ivy stared at her phone like it had become heavier in her hand. Cola didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He didn't do drama. But the calm in his voice carried something worse than anger. It carried certainty. Keen collected the phone from her gently and returned it to her purse like he didn't want her hands shaking more than they already were. He helped her sit properly, careful not to touch her injured elbow. Sei still had Femi pinned down, arm twisted behind his back, not choking him, not beating him, just holding him in place like a warning. Femi kept shouting, You people are mad. Do you know who I am? His girlfriend was screaming too, pointing fingers at everyone like volume could rewrite truth. Security guards moved in, separating people, pushing the crowd back. Oya, everybody shift. No video. No video. One security man shouted, but Lagos people didn't care. Phones were up like a concert. Another security man glanced at the shattered ornaments and the blood on the floor, then looked at Ivy's torn dress and bleeding elbow. Madam, please stand up, he said carefully. We need to move you to the security office. Ivy nodded slowly. Her ribs hurt with every breath. Her elbow throbbed like fire. But the worst wound wasn't the one bleeding. It was the old shame Femi had dragged out in public. Keen supported her on one side. Another mall staff member brought a small towel and pressed it lightly to her elbow. As they walked, Ivy heard Femi's voice behind her. Ivy, answer me. You think you can use these people to intimidate me? He shouted. Sei didn't respond. He only tightened his grip and guided Femi forward with security. Inside the security office, the air was colder. The room smelled of disinfectant and fear. A desk sat in the middle with two plastic chairs. CCTV monitors covered one wall like watching eyes. They sat Ivy down. An EMT arrived quickly, young man, calm face, gloves on. He knelt beside her and gently examined the cut. This one is a deep scrape, he said. No panic. I go clean, am. Ivy nodded, staring ahead. Keen stood near the door, face hard, eyes scanning. Sei was in another corner of the office giving a statement to a supervisor, short, controlled sentences. No unnecessary talk. In the room beside them, voices rose. Femi and his girlfriend, both protesting, both shouting. You can't hold us here, the girlfriend yelled. My fiancé is innocent. That woman attacked him. Femi's voice followed louder. They set me up. They pushed her by themselves. Check the cameras. The supervisor's eyes flicked toward the CCTV monitors. His expression stayed neutral, but there was something in his posture that said, We already saw everything. The EMT cleaned Ivy's elbow slowly. The sting made her flinch, but she didn't cry out. She didn't want to give anyone the satisfaction of seeing her break. You're strong, the EMT murmured without thinking. Ivy forced a small smile. I don't have choice. Keen's phone buzzed again. He checked the screen and stepped outside to answer quietly. When he came back, his eyes were sharper. He's close, he said under his breath. Ivy's stomach tightened. Close. In Lagos, that word could mean 10 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on who was moving and who was being moved for. The supervisor cleared his throat, trying to sound professional. We have contacted the police, he said, looking at Ivy. They're on the way. We will handle this properly. Ivy didn't respond. Because she already knew. Cola didn't handle properly. Cola handled completely. The door opened. Not with noise. Not with drama. Just opened. And the temperature in the room changed. Kola Balagan walked in. Suit still crisp. Face calm. Eyes dark. Behind him were men, 4, maybe 5, quiet, moving like trained shadows. They weren't in uniform. They didn't announce themselves. But the way they stood, the way they looked around, the way security instantly went stiff. Everyone in that office understood one thing immediately. Power had entered the room. The supervisor stood up too quickly, almost knocking his chair. "Good afternoon, sir," he said, voice suddenly respectful. Kola didn't even look at him. His eyes found Ivy like a magnet. He crossed the room in 3 steps and crouched in front of her, hands gentle as he cupped her face. "Let me see," he whispered. Ivy's throat tightened. The tenderness in his touch, so soft compared to the violence outside, almost made her cry. "It's small," she tried to say. Kola's eyes moved over her torn dress, the bandage on her elbow, the faint tremble in her fingers. Then his gaze lifted. And what Ivy saw there scared her more than Femi ever could. Not madness. Not loud rage. Just controlled fury. "Who is he?" Kola asked, voice barely above a whisper. Ivy swallowed. "Femi. My ex." Kola's jaw flexed once. The muscles in his face tightened like he was holding something back. The supervisor cleared his throat again. "Sir, we have footage. The suspect is in the next room. Police are already coming." Kola finally turned his head slightly. "Cancel it," he said. The supervisor blinked. "Sir?" "Cancel the police," Kola repeated calm. "They won't be necessary." The supervisor's face paled. "Sir, we can't just." Kola pulled out his phone and made one call. He didn't speak long. Just a few low sentences, not even raising his voice. Then he ended the call. 30 seconds later, the supervisor's radio crackled. A voice came through. Short. Firm. The supervisor listened, his eyes widening. He swallowed hard. "Yes, sir," he replied into the radio. "Understood." He turned back to Kola like a man who had just been reminded of his place in the food chain. "The police are no longer coming," he said quietly. Silence filled the room. Ivy stared at Kola, heart pounding. Kola turned back to her, his expression softening only for her. "I want to see him," he said. Ivy's breath caught. "Kola, please. Let's just go home." Kola's eyes didn't move. "Someone put hands on you," he said, voice calm but final. "Someone made you bleed." He leaned closer, forehead almost touching hers. "There is no world," he murmured, "where that man walks away free. There is no world where that man walks away free." Kola's words landed softly, but they carried iron. Ivy's chest tightened. She reached for his wrist, not to stop him completely. She knew stopping Kola was like trying to stop Lagos traffic with bare hands. But to slow the fire before it became something unstoppable. "Kola, please," she whispered. "Let's just go." Kola's eyes stayed on her face. His thumb brushed the corner of her cheek where a tear track was drying. The gentleness made her throat burn. Then he asked, quiet and dangerous at the same time. "Why didn't you tell me everything?" Ivy blinked. "I told you enough." "No," Kola said, voice calm. "You told me the version you could survive saying out loud." He leaned closer, his forehead almost touching hers. "But look at you. You're shaking just from seeing him. That means he did more than hurt you. That means he broke you." Ivy swallowed hard. The security office was silent. Even the supervisor had stepped back like he didn't want to breathe wrong. Keen and Sei stood like walls near the door. The EMT quietly packed his things and slipped out, as if he understood this conversation was not for strangers. From the other room, Femi's voice still rose in anger, muffled through the wall. But inside this room, Ivy felt like she was back in that old life again, standing at the edge of a memory she tried to lock away. Kola's eyes didn't blink. "Tell me," he said. "I need to know." Ivy's lips parted. No sound came out at first. Then she exhaled, shaky. "Femi and we were together for 3 years, she began. Her voice was low, but steady enough. "We got engaged for 6 months. Kola's jaw tightened, but he didn't interrupt. "I was working," she continued. 2 jobs sometimes. He always had one plan or the other. "I'm building myself. Just support me small. Once I blow, you'll enjoy." Her laugh came out bitter, short. "So I supported him," she said. "I paid rent. I paid bills. I bought food. I even bought his clothes sometimes. I was carrying everything." Kola's eyes darkened. Ivy looked down at her bandaged elbow, then back up. "I thought that's what love was," she said quietly. "To sacrifice. To hold somebody down." Kola's fists clenched, but his face stayed controlled. "And then?" he asked. Ivy's throat tightened. Then I got pregnant. The words came out softer than she expected. I was happy, she admitted. Scared, but happy. I thought, maybe this would make us real. Maybe this would finally make him stay serious. Cola's face didn't move, but the air around him changed. Ivy kept going before she could lose courage. I was 4 months, she said. 4 months, Cola. Her eyes blurred, but she refused to cry again. Not here. Not in front of these walls. I bought small baby things, she continued. Not even expensive. Just little things. I painted a corner of the room. I called it nursery. It wasn't much, but I was proud of it. She paused, swallowed. Then one day I came home. Her voice cracked slightly. The door was open. The room was empty. Femi was gone. Cola's nostrils flared once. Ivy felt her ribs ache as she breathed. He didn't just leave, she said. He cleared everything. Her eyes lifted to Cola's. He emptied my account, she whispered. My money. Everything I worked for. He took my laptop. My small jewelry. Even the things that didn't mean anything. Just to punish me. Cola's head tilted slightly. Did he leave a note? Ivy nodded, eyes burning. He left a note. She closed her eyes like she could still see it. He wrote, "He can't be tied down to a desperate woman and her trapped baby," she said, voice shaking now. He wrote that I was trying to hold him back. That he wanted freedom. Cola's jaw flexed hard. Ivy opened her eyes again. After that, everything crashed, she said. I lost the apartment. Because rent was due and I had nothing. I lost jobs too. Because I was pregnant and I was breaking down. I couldn't keep pretending I was okay. Her hands trembled in her lap. I lived in my car, she said. For weeks. Cola, I lived in my car like somebody hiding. She tried to smile, but it didn't work. I used to park behind places where nobody would see me, she added. I would drink sachet water just to stop the hunger. Sometimes I didn't eat for a whole day. Cola's eyes didn't leave her. Ivy's voice dropped to almost a whisper. And one morning, I woke up and there was blood. Her breath caught. Blood everywhere, she said. And I knew. She pressed a hand to her stomach like memory could still hurt the body. I lost the pregnancy, she whispered. I lost our baby. Cola's face tightened like stone. I went to a charity ward, Ivy continued. Because I had no money. No family close. No strength. I lost the baby there. Her voice broke fully now. Alone. Cola moved instantly, pulling her into his arms. Tight. Protective. Like he wanted to hide her inside his chest where nobody could ever reach her again. Ivy cried silently against him, shaking. I wanted to die after that, she confessed into his shirt. I thought, what's the point? I had nothing left. Cola's voice was rough, thick with restrained rage. But you didn't, he said. Ivy pulled back slightly, wiping her face quickly. No, she said. I didn't die. Her eyes hardened with the memory of surviving. I got angry, she whispered. Anger saved me. I rebuilt. Small. I worked. I saved. I moved on. She swallowed. And then I met you. Cola's eyes softened just a little. You loved me when I didn't even know how to receive love again, Ivy said. You gave me a life I never dreamed of. Cola cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. You saved yourself, he said firmly. I just saw you clearly. Ivy's lips trembled. Outside the room, Femi was still shouting like he had power. But inside this room, the truth had finally been said out loud. And Cola Balogun, Lagos' most feared man, had just learned exactly what Femi had done. That was the moment Ivy knew. This was no longer about an argument in a mall. This was about a debt Lagos would collect, with interest. The moment Ivy finished talking, the room went quiet in a way that felt dangerous. Cola held her face gently, but his eyes had changed. Not wild. Not loud. Just locked. Like a man who had made a decision and would not turn back. Ivy's breathing was still uneven. Her elbow still stung. Her ribs still hurt. But the deeper pain was the one she had finally said out loud. Cola's thumb wiped the last tear at the corner of her eye. Ghosts can be dealt with, he said calmly. Ivy blinked. Cola. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even look dramatic. I just want a conversation, he added, like he was talking about business. Man to man. Ivy knew that tone. That was the tone that meant, it's already done. Cola, please, she tried again softer. You don't have to. He leaned forward and kissed her. Not rushed. Not for show. A deep kiss that felt like a promise and a warning at the same time. When he pulled back, his forehead touched hers briefly. Stay here, he murmured. Breathe. I'll be right back. Then he stood up. His men moved with him immediately, quiet, controlled, already positioned like they had been waiting for this order. Keen stepped toward the door, ready to follow, but Kola lifted a finger slightly. "Stay with her," he said. Keen nodded and remained. Sei's eyes met Ivy's for 1 second. Steady, like he was telling her, "You're safe." Then Kola walked out. The door shut behind him. And even though the room was still, Ivy felt the pressure of what was about to happen rising like a tide. From the next room, Femi's voice was still loud. "I swear you people are mad. I go sue all of you. Una day hold me like criminal." His girlfriend added her own noise, insulting security, calling everyone useless, shouting that Ivy was a liar. Ivy stood up slowly despite Keen's protest. "Madam, please sit," Keen said quickly. Ivy shook her head. "No. I need to see." Keen's face tightened. "Madam, I need to see," she repeated firmer. Her voice was quiet, but it carried weight. Keen hesitated, then nodded once. He guided her to the small window on the wall, the one that looked into the next room. Ivy's heart pounded as she pressed closer. Inside the other room, Femi was standing, pacing like a trapped rat. His girlfriend was by the wall, still talking, still pointing, still doing too much. Then the door opened. Kola walked in. The room changed instantly. Even through the glass, Ivy could see it. Femi's confidence paused midair, like his mouth forgot how to continue. "Ah, who be this?" Femi started, trying to sound brave. Kola didn't answer with words. He crossed the room in 3 steps. One moment Femi was talking. The next moment, Kola's hand was on his throat. Kola lifted him just enough to shut him up and slammed him against the wall hard enough to make the whole room shake. Femi's eyes went wide. His girlfriend screamed. Security men shifted back like nobody wanted to be the hero. Kola held him there for a second, close, controlled, not rushing, not shaking, just letting Femi feel the difference between mouth and power. Then Kola spoke clearly, loud enough for everyone in that room to hear. "My name is Kola Balagan," he said. His voice was low, calm, deadly. "The woman you touched is my wife." Femi's feet scrambled on the floor, trying to find balance. "I didn't know," he choked out. "I swear I didn't know." Kola released him suddenly. Femi dropped and coughed, holding his throat, stumbling. Kola adjusted his suit jacket like he had only fixed a button. Then he moved again, fast, sharp. Not messy. Not shouting. Just clean punishment. Femi tried to stand properly, but Kola drove a hard kick into his side that folded him down again with a broken sound that cut through Ivy's chest. The girlfriend screamed louder. "Stop! Stop! You will kill him." Kola didn't even look at her. He crouched beside Femi, voice still calm. "You think I'm angry because you embarrassed my wife today?" he asked. Femi shook his head, terrified. "I'm angry," Kola continued, "because you ruined her before I ever met her." Femi's eyes darted around the room like he wanted an escape door to open by miracle. Kola's gaze didn't move. "You left her pregnant and hungry," he said. "You stole from her. You made her sleep in a car. You made her bleed alone." Femi's lips trembled. "She's lying." Kola's hand shot out and grabbed his shirt, pulling him closer. "Don't insult my intelligence," Kola said softly. He leaned in. "I control Lagos in ways you can't understand," he continued. "Business. Banks. Streets. Police. Politicians. Everything you think protects you answers when my name enters a room." Femi's face went pale. Kola stood up again, looking down at him like Femi was an insect. "But I won't kill you," he said. Femi's eyes flashed with a stupid, hopeful relief. Kola smiled, small, cold. "Death is too easy," he added. "You deserve to live and feel shame every day." One of Kola's men stepped forward with a tablet. Kola didn't take it. He only nodded as the man spoke. "Femi Adeyemi. Works at Adeyemi Capital. Father owns it. Trust fund. Engagement to Tenny Alade, daughter of Alade Holdings." Femi's whole body went stiff. His girlfriend gasped. "Engagement? What engagement?" Kola's eyes stayed on Femi. "By morning," Kola said, "your fiancé will know who you really are. Your father will receive proof of every naira you stole from Ivy. Your office will receive names of other women you used. Your friends will see the timeline of your cheating. Medical records, too." Femi started shaking his head wildly. "No, no, please." Kola didn't flinch. "You will lose your name," he said. "You will lose your money. You will lose your respect. And every time you wake up and feel small, you'll remember why." Femi's voice broke. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I swear." Kola stepped back as if disgusted. Then he turned to his men and spoke quietly. They nodded like machines. Kola looked down at Femi one last time. "Welcome to my world," he said. "Enjoy your stay." And then he walked out calmly, like nothing happened. Outside the window, Ivy's breath caught. Her hand covered her mouth, not in shock that Kola could be ruthless, but in the heavy, strange realization that the past she feared had finally met the present that protected her. And Femi's begging had only just started, like she had been holding a stone for 3 years and finally put it down. She nodded. Yes. Kola's gaze flicked to her bandage, then to the torn shoulder of her dress. His jaw clenched briefly, but he didn't speak to the room. He only moved closer and slipped one arm behind her knees and the other behind her back. Before Ivy could protest, he lifted her. "Kola," she started. "Leave it," he murmured. "I'm carrying you." She was light in his arms, but the way he held her made it feel like she was precious glass. The supervisor rushed forward nervously. "Sir, madam." Kola didn't stop. His men opened the door. Sei and Keen moved ahead, clearing space. Mall workers and security watched like they were seeing a private film they weren't meant to witness. Outside, the crowd had thinned but not disappeared. Some people still held phones, trying to catch a last clip. Kola's stare alone made them drop their hands. He carried Ivy through the Palms Mall as if the whole building belonged to him. Christmas lights blurred above her. The giant tree stood shining. The music was still playing, pretending nothing happened. But Ivy knew the truth. Something had ended today. And something else had begun. In the car, the ride back to Lekki was quiet. Kola held her hand the entire time, thumb drawing slow circles on her palm. His face stayed calm, but she could see the tension in his jaw like a wire pulled too tight. Ivy watched Lagos pass by through tinted windows. Traffic, hawkers, Christmas decorations along the road, people living normal lives while her world had just shifted. When they reached the penthouse, Kola didn't allow staff to hover. "Everybody out," he said simply. No argument. The house emptied into silence. Inside their bedroom, Kola finally set Ivy down gently on the edge of the bed. He crouched, eyes scanning her again like he was counting injuries. "It's not bad," Ivy whispered, trying to sound strong. Kola's eyes lifted. "It's bad because it happened." Then he reached for the zip at the back of her dress. His fingers moved slowly, careful. The torn fabric slid down her shoulders. He didn't rush. He didn't treat her like a task. He treated her like someone healing. "Come," he said softly. "Shower with me." Ivy hesitated. Not because she didn't want it, but because she felt guilty for shaking, for freezing, for letting the past still touch her. But Kola didn't give her space to overthink. He took her hand and led her into the bathroom. Steam rose as hot water poured. Kola stepped under the water first, then pulled her in. Ivy flinched as warm water hit her scraped elbow. Kola immediately adjusted, positioning her so the water didn't strike the wound directly. "I'm sorry," she whispered suddenly. Kola turned to her. "For what?" "For not telling you everything," she said. "For letting him affect me like this." Kola's hands cupped her face, water streaming down his wrists. "Stop," he said firmly, not harshly. "You have nothing to apologize for." He washed her hair with slow, soothing movements, fingers massaging her scalp like he was undoing knots she didn't know she carried. Then he carefully cleaned her elbow again, dabbing gently. He pressed soft kisses on her shoulder, her neck, her temple. No urgency. No demand. Just comfort. "Trauma has no expiry date," Kola murmured. "Pain doesn't disappear because we want it to." Ivy blinked fast. "I thought I was over it." "Healing isn't straight," he said. "Sometimes it bends. Sometimes it drags you back. But you're not alone anymore. You will never be alone in it again." Ivy's breathing slowed under his touch. After the shower, he wrapped her in a plush robe and tied it for her like she was a child he was protecting from cold. They moved to the balcony. Lekki looked beautiful from above, city lights, distant horns, a calm ocean line far away. The air was cool. The world looked peaceful, like nothing could touch them up here. Kola placed a plate of food in front of her. "Something simple." "Eat," he said. Ivy forced a few bites. Her body was tired. Then she asked the question that had been sitting in her chest since the mall. "What happens now?" Kola leaned back in his chair, eyes dark. "By tomorrow morning, his fiancée will leave him," he said calmly. "By noon, his father will remove him from the company. By evening, his accounts will be frozen." Ivy stared. "That fast?" Kola shrugged like it was nothing. "Lagos moves fast when power pushes it." He took her hand. You'll get your money back with interest by Friday, he continued. And the other women he used, they will be paid too. Ivy swallowed. Cola. He studied her face. Do you think it's too much? The question surprised her. Do you want me to stop? He asked quietly. Ivy thought of the old Ivy, pregnant, hungry, shaking in a car, staring at her empty account. She thought of how easy it had been for Femi to destroy her. Then she looked at Cola, this man who held her like she mattered. No, she said softly. Don't stop. A flash of satisfaction crossed his eyes, then disappeared. Good, he murmured. Because I wasn't going to. Ivy rested her head against his chest. How do you even do it? She asked. Control people like that? Cola's mouth curved slightly. This is how power works, he said. Fear and strategy. You give people what they want, then you remind them what happens when they try nonsense. Ivy lifted her head and touched his cheek. I don't love your world, she admitted. But I love you. His eyes softened. I love the man who makes me laugh, she whispered. The man who holds me when I wake from bad dreams. The man who treats me like I'm worth protecting. Cola's voice lowered. I need you tonight. Ivy's cheeks warmed. He lifted her gently, carried her back inside, and laid her on the bed like she was sacred. Their lovemaking was slow. Not hungry. Not rough. It felt like reassurance. Like Cola was proving with every touch. You are safe. Later, Ivy fell asleep in his arms, her breathing finally calm. Outside, Lagos kept moving. And somewhere in the city, Cola's people were already working, quietly dismantling Femi's life piece by piece, while Ivy slept like a woman who had survived and finally found peace. Ivy slept deeper than she had slept in a long time. Not because Lagos suddenly became safe, but because for the first time in years, her body believed it didn't have to stay on guard all night. When morning light slipped into the bedroom, the first thing she heard was a phone vibrating. Not once. Not twice. Endless. Cola's phone. Then her own. She opened her eyes slowly, still wrapped in warmth, still feeling the calm from the night before. Cola was already sitting up, shirtless, the sheet resting low on his waist, his expression unreadable as he stared at his phone. Good morning, Ivy whispered. Cola didn't answer immediately. He looked at her, and his eyes softened, just for a second. Then he held up his phone. You've seen it? Ivy blinked. Seen what? Her own phone buzzed again. She reached for it. 62 missed calls. 31 voicemails. Hundreds of WhatsApp messages. Her stomach dropped. The first message she opened was from Kemi, her friend from uni. Amara? Girl, is this you? The Palms Mall video is everywhere. Ivy's fingers trembled as she clicked the link. And there it was. CCTV footage. Clear. Sharp. Femi pushing Sei. Femi's hand hitting her shoulder. Ivy stumbling. Crashing into the stand. Falling. Blood. Femi standing over her. The mall going silent. The clip ended just before Cola entered, but the internet had already done what the internet does. A thread followed immediately, long and detailed, broken into parts. Bank transfers. Screenshots. Stories from other women. A timeline of Femi's relationships overlapping. And then the hardest part. A medical document that confirmed Ivy's loss back then. Her chest tightened. Cola, she whispered, eyes stinging. Cola moved closer, took the phone from her gently, and scrolled. Look, he said quietly. Ivy looked at the comments under the trending post. And she froze. Because they weren't dragging her. They were defending her. That guy is wicked. Imagine abandoning a pregnant woman and still having mouth. See as she carried herself. Queen. If Nami, I for faint. Omo her husband no be mate. God punish Femi. So he thought she was still broke and helpless. Madness. Even people who didn't know the full story were angry on her behalf. And the moment Cola's name started appearing in the comments, the tone shifted from sympathy to fear. Cola Balagan? Ah, the guy don't die. Omo you no fit touch that woman and rest. Ivy looked up at Cola. How did they even connect you to this? Cola shrugged slightly. Lagos likes gist. And Lagos likes power. His eyes went cold again, but his voice stayed calm. Controlling the narrative is part of controlling respect, he said. Ivy swallowed. But my privacy. Cola's gaze softened. I'm watching how you're handling it. That's what matters. His phone rang again. He checked the caller ID and gave a small, humorless smile. Speak of the devil, he murmured, then answered. Put it on speaker, Ivy said, surprising herself. Cola's brow lifted slightly, but he tapped speaker. A man's voice came through, Older, tight, angry, and scared. Kola Balagan, the man said. Good morning. Kahind Adeyemi, Kola replied. Femi's father. Ivy's heart beat faster. I'm calling to discuss my son, the man said quickly. What happened yesterday was unfortunate. Kola's voice stayed steady. Your son assaulted my wife. He made a mistake, the man pleaded. A regrettable mistake, yes, but ruining his entire life. He ruined hers first, Kola cut in. Silence. Then Kahind tried another angle. What do you want? Money? Partnership? A deal? Name your price. Kola turned his head slightly, eyes meeting Ivy's. Then he spoke into the phone, voice calm but lethal. You think I can be bought? Everybody can be bought, Kahind insisted. I've been in business long enough. Then let me educate you, Kola interrupted. Your son stole from a woman who loved him. He left her pregnant and homeless. He caused her to lose that pregnancy. Then yesterday, he assaulted her in public. Kahind exhaled shakily. You're taking her story as fact. Kola's voice dropped. Choose your next words carefully, sir. If you insult my wife, I will extend this punishment to include you personally. A long silence. Then Kola continued, slow and clear. Here is what will happen. Your son will issue a public apology to my wife and to every other woman he has used. He will enter therapy. He will pay restitution to all victims. And he will never come within 100 meters of my wife again. This is extortion, Kahind snapped weakly. No, Kola replied. This is justice. He paused. If you want to go legal, do it. I have evidence. I have lawyers. And your son will face fraud, theft, and assault charges. The choice is yours. Silence again. Then Kahind's voice dropped. He will comply. Good, Kola said. Smart decision. He ended the call without goodbye. Ivy stared at him. You enjoyed that. Kola's mouth curved slightly. Maybe. Over the next few days, Ivy watched Femi's life collapse like a building with weak foundation. His fiancée posted a public breakup message that went viral. His father's firm released a statement distancing themselves and announcing his termination. Blogs and news pages ran stories. Investment heir exposed as serial con man. Then the apology video came. Femi stood in front of cameras looking tired, thinner, broken. He read from a paper, voice shaking. I want to apologize to Ivy Balagan for the pain I caused her, he said. I stole from her. I abandoned her. I abused her. I assaulted her. I'm entering therapy. I will pay restitution. Ivy watched quietly. No shaking. No tears. Just stillness. When the video ended, she dropped her phone and exhaled. It's done, she asked. Kola closed his laptop beside her. It's done. That night, he took her out. Not to show off. Not to prove anything. To remind her that life could still be beautiful. A private restaurant in Victoria Island. One he owned. Reserved only for them. Candlelight. White roses and purple orchids. Soft music. Food she loved. After dinner, he stood and held out his hand. Dance with me. There's no music, Ivy smiled faintly. Kola pulled out his phone, pressed play, and her favorite song filled the empty space. They swayed slowly, her head on his chest. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For loving me like this, she said. For not letting my past finish me. Kola kissed her forehead. You finished your past. I just made sure it stayed buried. 2 weeks later, Ivy's phone buzzed with a bank alert. A heavy deposit. Every naira Femi stole, plus interest and compensation. She stared at it in silence. Then she looked at Kola. I want to use this for something. What? A foundation, she said, voice steady. For women who are financially abused by partners. Housing. Job training. Therapy. Everything I wish someone gave me. Kola's face softened with pride. We'll do it. He leaned closer. And I'll fund it too. That weekend, they hosted a small party. Ivy's friends and Kola's associates in the same room, strange but somehow working. People laughed. People ate. For once, Ivy didn't feel like she was pretending to belong. At midnight, Kola handed her a velvet box. Inside was a gold necklace with a phoenix pendant. You rose, he whispered. That's what you are. Then he gave her a second gift, documents. A building deed. Already renovated. Already prepared. For your foundation, he said. Start whenever you're ready. 3 months later, the foundation opened its doors in Lagos. A clean, modern building with rooms for women, therapy offices, job training spaces, and childcare. On the first day, a woman arrived with 2 children, eyes tired, hands shaking, story too familiar. Ivy held her gently. You will be okay, she promised. I did it. And you will too. That night, an email came. From Femi. Ivy read it once. He said he was sorry. He said he was proud of what she built. He said he didn't expect forgiveness. Ivy felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just freedom. She deleted it, set down her phone, and leaned into Cola's arms. My past is closed, she whispered. Cola kissed her temple. Good. Because your future is here. And if you've made it to the end of this Lego story, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe for more dramatic love stories, and drop a comment. What should our next story be about? More Legos romance, revenge, and second chances? Let me know. As we wrap up this story, I just want to say thank you for staying with me till the very end. If there's one thing Amara's journey teaches us, it's that pain can break you, but it can also rebuild you into someone unstoppable. And when love is real, it doesn't just comfort you, it protects you and gives you a fresh start. From me to you, Merry Christmas. May this season bring you peace, laughter, and people who truly value you. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next one. And tell me in the comments, which country are you watching from, and what should our next story be about? Till next time, stay blessed, stay safe, and stay with Bestie Folktale.